I'm John Skinner, and this supports my book, Fishing the Bucktail. So we were blackfishing recently, and we're feeling all these hits, and but we just can't help but wonder what on earth is going on down there. I mean, what is really there and what's happening? So I had the underwater camera with me, and I decided to put it down. And yeah, it's always surprising. It's always educational to see what's happening. And this is not the greatest footage in the world. It's not as good as some of the fluke stuff that I've put out. But you know, it is sufficient to see. Hey, you know what? When you feel that bite, you know, it's not one fish. You know, my God, there's a lot of these fish down there. And so that was for me the first eye opener. Yeah, it's hard to get this video nice because unlike fluke where you're dragging the bait along and you're on a drift, you know, here we're anchored and these things are pounding on this crab. It's just some crab on a hook, and yeah, they're banging this thing all over the place. So one of the things I thought was interesting was how much debris they kick up. I guess the bottom's got a little bit of silt. I don't know. They kick up some clouds of stuff, but yeah, look at all these things. And this was a trip where we were jigging, and we were using lightweight jigs, and we foul hooked quite a few fish. In fact, I know I foul hooked at least 7 of them. And it's funny because as we would foul hook them, we would just, yeah, we realized that we were a lot down there, but we also kept saying, oh, they're not feeding. Look, we're hitting them, they're not hitting us. Well, no, that wasn't the case. The case was that you know, maybe you've got 5 fish going after the jig at the same time, and should you miss the one that you're trying to hook, yeah, there's plenty of other meat around to accidentally sink the hook into, and that's what was happening. And just an observation, and I don't want to draw any conclusions from this, but when the bait was just lying there on the bottom, there wasn't really anything happening. Now, I edited those little bits out because it's pretty boring to, you know, sit there and stare at the bottom and nothing's happening. But, you know, there'd be 20, 30 seconds, maybe more, and there's absolutely nothing happening. But as soon as you move the rig, oh, yeah, then these guys jump on. So I thought that was interesting. Geez, I know when I first started blackfishing many years ago, you know, we were told to keep that thing still, you know, just let it sit. And, yeah, I don't know what to think about that. Now, a nice thing about jigging for blackfish with light tackle is, you know, you're only using 3/4 of an ounce or an ounce. So if you've done this fishing, you know that when you lose your crab, you know it. You can feel the difference between an empty jig and a baited jig. It's not like you're fishing with 16 ounces of lead and you really don't know whether you lost your bait or not. You know it when you're jigging. And if you've done this kind of fishing, you'll know that if you miss something and you feel like, yeah, I just lost my crab, and then you're still feeling some taps, yeah, you're probably going to keep it down there. I know, hey, if I'm getting bites, I'm going to keep it down, assume I have some bait. But then what I got to see on this video was that, yeah, what that was you have a little tiny piece of bait left on the hook, and then the bergals and other little stuff was going after it. So that's really what you're feeling. So my takeaway from there is when I feel, from now on, when I feel like I've lost the main part of my bait, I'm going to reel up and rebait. I'm not going to sit down there with, you know, a tiny little piece of bait on there, because I think in most cases that is not going to get me a quality blackfish. Now, as with when I do underwater fluke video, I don't want to catch these fish. I especially don't want to catch blackfish on the camera rig because there is structure nearby, and I don't want to lose the camera in that structure. So I did have a little hook protector on the hook to start with, but they beat that thing around and got it off of there. And I am going to eventually hook one here, and it might look like I've got him snagged in the eye, and that's not the case. If you look closely, you're going to see I had him like right on the nose, but he was on there for a bit. So the narration will be sparse from this point on. Look at that current down there. That's interesting. You can see that stuff blowing around. I'm not sure how much of that is current and how much of that comes from the fish kicking their tails around. I think there's a mix there. All right, so the narration will be sparse from this point on. I'll jump in at a few points, and yeah, here's that guy that's getting hooked up. Hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. So I just noticed something kind of interesting. You're going to hear the engine start up because we're quitting. We're in about 40 feet of water. The engine starts up. I see absolutely no interruption in these fish hitting the bait, so it didn't bother them at all. And we're quitting because we did get a boat limit out of this. This was a pretty good trip, but we've got weather coming in, and we've got the fish we wanted, and off we're going to go. And as we get this thing into the field of view, boy, they're really focusing on the piece of green crab there. They've got that, that's a big Asian crab that's on there, and I'm surprised they haven't torn that apart, and nobody's chewing on that. They're all hitting the half of a green crab, so that's kind of interesting to see also. All right, thanks for watching.